Well, hello there everybody, this is Dakian, welcoming you to Monday the 22nd of May 2017, and a video about my painting progress this past week. I should start out by pointing out that this is episode 104, and that means if the calendar has performed as usual and there are 52 weeks to a year, it's a 2-year anniversary of this series because I have put out a video every Monday without fail since I started. And I'm celebrating this with some zombies. Specifically some Nazi German zombies. Here you can see a couple of officers, front and center. They're kind of I put them on, so I tried to get some color on in the foliage on the basis, just to sort of contrast the ghastliness of the guys, the monsters. Here's a couple of more ordinary soldiers. And as for colors, you know, I went with some kind of gray for the uniforms, very pale gray. This is not, strictly speaking, probably historically accurate. The uniforms were never quite this light gray, but I figured they're zombies, they've been dead for a while, their colors have faded. And then I made the other equipment a more dark gray for contrast. Simply, this is just for painting purposes. Here's a couple of guys packing pistols. And, well, you might wonder if they've been dead for a while, why does the blood still look relatively fresh? And I would say, oh, shut up, that's why. It's because it looks better. You know, if the blood was really caked on, dried, it would all just be black, and that would not look like anything at all. It would just be boring. And we have a total of 8 of these. Here's the final 2. The machine gunner and submachine gunner. And yeah, I think I've managed to, again, as I said, I haven't picked out every single detail of everything on these very precisely or accurately, because they're just zombies. They need to just give you a general impression of being kind of grotty and grody and, well, you know, zombies. So I think I'm overall fairly happy with these. Where's the last 2? Here they are. They're not perfectly, as I said, historically accurate in any way, shape, or form, but you get the general idea. They're Germans, and they're zombies, and they're World War II. And that's all I need. Well, I also painted a couple more of them. I also painted up these 4 miniatures from the Wargames Illustrated Giants Mincher range. Now, if I'm going to say something about these sculpts in general, they're okay. The clothing has good detail. I'm not a fan of the faces. They don't really sculpt amazing faces. But, oh well. What you gonna do? Let's take these one by one. The first one here is Trotsky, who didn't give me any trouble. I tried to reference what, you know, the sort of Russian green color of the times. I'm not sure if he actually wore that as part of his leadership of the Red Army, but it seems like a reasonable approximation. Now for Ramble here, the studio paint job had him in a kind of blue outfit. I don't know. I just felt doing something different, and so these are actually the Africa Corps colors. Because he's famous for leading the Africa Corps, mostly. I don't know if he actually wore a uniform exactly this color anytime during the war. Again, photo reference is hard to find. You mostly find them in either like black dress uniform or something very light tan. But, you know, I thought this was an interesting color to use. Now, for Lieutenant Colonel John Frost here, I experimented with a new method of painting camo, which is essentially base coating the jacket the same as his pants and shading and highlighting it, and then adding more glazes of other colors to bring out the patches of camo color. I think it worked out okay, you know, for my first time trying this technique, it was fine. Now, what is he holding in his mouth? This is an object which, in the studio paint job, is painted red. So I painted it red, a dark red, just so it wouldn't pop too much. Either it's like a stick of dynamite or it's a flare. Now, why he's biting it, I have no idea. This might be an issue with the sculpt. Maybe he's supposed to be like lighting it with a cigar or a cigarette or something. That doesn't quite come across. It'll be a stupid thing to do anyway. Now, in case you don't know who this is the commander of the British paratroopers who were landed to take the bridge at Arnhem during Operation Market Garden, and who almost did so. He held out for quite a long time before being overrun by the Germans. And finally here we have Julius Caesar, who I painted pretty much as in the studio job. The main difference was he had a bright red cloak in that job. I decided to continue the purple theme because his skirt is purple and the crest on his helmet is purple, but I tried to paint different purples. So the helmet crest is like a faded purple, almost white highlights, while this is a rich purple going up to magenta in the highlights. Not sure how it looks on camera. It's reasonably effective in normal conditions. Anyway, those, let's see, the 8 zombies plus these 4, that's 12 minis completed this week. Let's go on to works in progress. The 4 remaining from the giant Mincher's range, 2 of which have been substantially started. Lord Kitchener here and this guy. These 2, nothing has happened with them since last week, really. No real progress. And finally we have this Reaper Mincher General Drake, which I just slapped on a little bit of red to see how that would look. And maybe that will give you a clue as to how I intend to paint him. We'll see how that turns out. And over here on another part of my workbench, we have the, let's see if I can get a good angle here, the female militia, all just primed in gray and some dark brown slapped on the basis for contrast's sake. Now this one, the flag carrier here, I'm gonna have to make a flag for her out of paper probably, because I'm lazy and I'm not gonna bother with anything more difficult. As you can see, there's quite a lot of them in different styles and so forth. But I intend to paint all these uniformly. I might, you know, I'll paint different hair colors. That's about it. That's as far as I'll go. Otherwise, same colors on all the clothing. And I'll probably do all the skin the same as well. Just because I'm lazy. What's up after this then? So with all the stuff that's on my painting table right now, I'm being slightly conservative with what I'm planning to prep again for next week. So I picked out this set of minis, which is an old Kickstarter I received from Harwood Hobbies. I've probably unboxed this for you at some point before. It is mostly a bunch of cultists. They're called things like Axe Cultist number 1, and as you can see, he's a guy in a kind of cultist hood wielding an axe. We also have Axe Cultist number 2. X Cultist number 3. We have an unmarked baggie with just 3 general cultists, not wielding axes. One has a Tommy gun and a torch. One actually has an axe, and what's the third one have? A book. And then there's a cultist called Mr. Carswell, who's probably some sort of leader. He also has a book. He's ranting about something. Some unnamed dude missing one hand. I think he has optional hands, I believe. It's difficult to see. I think he has one pointing hand and one wielding a pistol. I'm not entirely sure. Well, I'll figure it out. And finally, there's a monster called the Daughter of Yog-Sothoth, which you can see is a typically Lovecraftian, weird alien thingy. So, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 minis. Yeah. That's not too onerous. I can get those prepped for next week. No problem. And you know what time it is? It's Kickstarter time. I'm showing you here the Kickstarter for sci-fi robots from Johnny Locke, and it's kind of difficult to see. Well, in this particular baggie, it's not robots. Well, not all of it. And I think these are the sort of sci-fi rat men that are included. Here we have a ton of relatively small, more or less humanoid robots. And then we have some baggies with bigger ones, more mechanical looking ones who are in multiple parts. And it's difficult to get an idea of what they look like from just all the pieces, of course. So, I don't have any immediate use for any of these. I just backed this because I thought it looked really cool. And also it was kind of the last chance because Johnny is closing down his business and retiring. He's doing one final Kickstarter that I'm currently backing. It's currently running. And it is funded. So I will receive those minis sometime later this year. But in general, you know, I just sort of picked them up because I thought, why not? And unfortunately, it's adding to my tally quite a lot. Not as much as you're going to see in the coming weeks, though. Man, yeah, I've actually already received a couple of boxes of even more stuff, but I'm sort of parceling it out, showing you one delivery per week on this show, so as not to overload your senses and my running tally. Anyway, that was everything I had to show you this week. But as usual, I will be back next Monday, right on time, same channel, same, well, not exactly the same time. Sometimes it's different times during the day that I upload, but, reasonably regularly. Until then, I am Dakia, and I'm signing off.